So morning, Alex. You all right?
Hello, Wayne. Yeah, it's good to be here again.
And yeah, we were just saying it must be over a year since we last spoke, wasn't it? It was when I think was it your book launch? Was that why we'd?
Yeah,
after.
I think I remember coming over to Lakeside back then, and my book Another Peak came out in July last year, and I think this year we've kind of been in a bit of a time warp, but it must be over a year since I came in and had a chat, and lots has happened since. So it's good to be back.
Well, and that lots that's happened since, we were just saying, and was following progress closely on social media. Your recent attempt at the national Three Peaks running in between, or moving on foot in between, as you said, it became less of a run, more of a move.
Bits of running, bits of hobbling, bits of walking, but I think ultra running, it's a mix of everything as long as you keep moving. That's the main thing.
Yeah, that's how it was. It relentless forward motion, isn't
that was
it?
The mantra. That was the mantra.
Yeah. And shut up legs. I think that did I see on Twitter? Was it on Twitter? You'd labelled your trainers or something like that the other day.
Right. Yeah. There's a few mantras you can use when things get tough, but one of them is left foot, right foot, repeat. That one was introduced by my friend Steve Hill, who's done a lot of ultra running, and he supported me for a few days as well. Something as simple as that can go a long way when you're in the pain cave, and your feet and your body are saying what you're doing.
Yeah, I know. I can relate to that. No, yeah, and the thing that was just slipped my mind was it you were going for the record attempt on doing that, weren't you? Which you just said unfortunately you missed by a small margin.
Yeah, I mean it's been kind of 4 weeks now almost since I finished, and I don't know where time's gone. I've been riding that, the peaks and the troughs of the kind of post-challenge blues. The actual challenge, it was obviously running the Three Peaks, which is about 450 miles, and the target was to try and do it in, the current record was 9 days, 11 hours, and I think 39 minutes. So I was trying to break that, even if only 5 minutes. But I was, after lots of setbacks. On the way, I had everything thrown at me, and the whole schedule kind of fell apart. I did manage to kind of catch up, back on track, and I realised actually, pretty much as I was coming through the lakes, that I had a chance still. I managed to get back on track again, and then I was all on target to just sneak under that time. And on the final day, just the exhaustion, the sleep, the lack of sleep, caught up with me, to the point that I was literally having kind of naps in a bus stop and in mum's car, and I just couldn't shake this exhaustion, and I kind of made the conscious choice to kind of back off any record attempts. I was already very tight by this point because I'd lost so much time on the way to Snowdon, but the last time I felt so exhausted and so empty was probably on an expedition in the Himalayas, at altitude, and that was when I was in familiar territory, but I know there's a very careful balance between pushing it and not making it when I was so close to the end, and that, like on Everest, is when most of the accidents happen. So I had to back away, and I missed the record by about an hour and 12 minutes. But actually, since then, the record has been beaten again, and makes you realise with these challenges that actually sometimes the record doesn't really mean much. It doesn't last. Records are there to be broken. What really counted was the fact that I'd been able to overcome all the setbacks. I'd been able to break, my own expectations, and I'd never ran an ultramarathon properly before. So I think it's about your own personal records and the difference we make along the way, and obviously all the fundraising. So there's been an edge of disappointment because of that, but I think it means very little now.
Yeah. And it's important. The fundraising was predominantly the reason you were doing it, wasn't it? It was to raise money for your charity, Mind Over Mountains.
Yeah, and this project, this run was meant to start in May, and obviously because of COVID, it couldn't. That was a blessing in disguise because it gave me more time to train and prepare, and during lockdown was a real focus and saviour for me, really. But yeah, on the charity side of it, one of the main goals of the run was to actually launch Mind Over Mountains, which is which really is a fairly new charity, and the aim, is restoring mental health through outdoor experiences. And it's so much more than just being out in the fresh air, because we know it helps, but it's actually having guided hill walking, not only in the lakes, but in national parks all around the UK now. We've got one in the Blimey Mountains in Wales tomorrow, and we're hoping to expand more and more. But also on these walks, there's actually there's a kind of one-to-one support. There's a guided coach. It's mindfulness. It's meditation and inspirational speakers and a counsellor. So we have this kind of full holistic support package where people are getting that safe, confidential space to walk and talk. And I think after lockdown and after all the trauma and the isolation people have faced, I think it's more important than it ever has been to get people back together and just to have that space to talk. And I think we've appreciated just how important being outside has been when we had that 1 hour of exercise a day. And I know being in Kendal, I felt very grateful to have that on my doorstep. Not everybody has had that. So yeah, the aim was to obviously launch, their charity and to raise £10,000. This year, like a lot of organisations and charities, we've been kind of scratching our heads thinking how we can help people with all the restrictions. But we've been doing these one-day events in small groups and doing all the coaching and the mindfulness, on Zoom instead. Right. And that's been a great success. And yeah, the fundraising, again, I was blown away by the support, and we raised about £11,100 and rising. So really chuffed for that.
It is an amazing amount, isn't it? And like you said, in this current climate, every little helps, doesn't it? Yeah, and I think you're right as well. What always strikes me, and when I'm out running with friends and different running groups at the moment, is I think what loads of people are appreciating now is how much they'd missed human contact. That this face-to-face chatting of any description. No, and whilst Zoom and Teams and all the rest of it is all right, it's just not the same, is it? It's quite exhausting, quite demanding, actually.
Yeah, I know we're all kind of getting used to that, and I think for me personally, I've had to do a lot of it because as a speaker, obviously my kind of main job is speaking to teams and businesses around the UK and abroad, and obviously none of those events or conferences have happened, so that's all gone virtual. But there is no substitute for that kind of real connection, and I think to stay resilient, we need it for our health and well-being as well. And it was so good just to see people laughing and smiling and talking in the hills again, and just the hills doing what they do best. It's just that kind of magic space where people feel able to open up. And people have been carrying so much in lockdown. I mean, I felt quite fortunate. My life is quite flexible. I'm an introvert, so I quite like the quiet time and being able to run in the hills. But a lot of people have obviously fared much worse, and maybe there's more to come. So really pleased that this run has been able to hopefully to make a difference. But what I saw as well is just the support I had along the way. You could tell how much it meant to people. I mean, I had most of my support, I'll be honest, was in the lakes, of course, being on my home turf, but people waiting in the rain and the dark just to hand me some money, or sat in a field with some hot chocolate for me, and that human generosity, it's really humbling to know we haven't lost that with everything that's going on.
Yeah, indeed. So you've suggested a couple of songs for me to play. So I've got Green Day lined up, which is Wake Me Up When September Comes, and then of course, the Proclaimers with 500 Miles will be the next one.
It was the theme tune for the run. It had to be.
Yeah. So I'll stick those on, and we'll have another natter after these are done. We just just talking about the walk. I think the walk/run from the Three Peaks challenge that you'd done recently, and you were saying about the sort of some of the challenges that you'd faced while you were doing it, especially on home turf. Really, it was.
Yeah, well, where to start? I mean, the Proclaimers, I must just mention, was quite apt because. Obviously, coming through Scotland the first 3 days, it was kind of a bit of a theme song. Obviously, I was nearly doing 500 miles, and I was starting to think to myself, they must be mad to try and walk 500 miles for this girl in the song, because I was suffering after 100 miles. But yeah, then when I was having a tough times, my friend Rich would drive past playing the song at full blast out the car window just to make me smile, so it was always good. But I think really it started very well. I mean, obviously I started on Ben Nevis about 4 a.m, and I think prior to that though, the challenge had been actually just getting to the start line. I managed to actually sprain my ankle about a week before I was due to start, when I was running on Helm Crag in Grasmere, and I'd been winding down. I was fit. I was good to go. Obviously, lockdown pushed the start date further and further back, and it was trying to choose the right time. And I think if you wait for the perfect time, you'll never start. So I just had to set the date and go for it. But obviously, the ankle then pushed me back by another 2 weeks. So I had 2 weeks just to kind of sit in all these doubts and fears that you would get before a big race anyway. And I just had to go for it. I was assured the ankle was okay. But until I started on Ben Nevis, I had no idea what was going to happen. But what I didn't know is actually from then onwards, everything else would go, and the ankle would become insignificant. And the first day went perfectly well. 50 miles to Tyndrum with about 10,000 feet of ascent. But the thing is, obviously living in the lakes, most of my running is on trail and fells, and I hadn't done enough on tarmac. So it was all fine until I hit the tarmac, and then by the end of day 2 I felt like I'd been hit by a bus. And I was in the hotel in Glasgow saying to my friend Rich, like, how on earth am I going to run another, well, I had 58 miles planned the next day, and it feels impossible, and I had tendonitis in my left foot that was raging. The ankle had kind of started and then just gone. My knee started to go on day 3, and I remember reaching out to Dan Lawson, who he broke the record for John O'Groats to Land's End, or Land's End to John O'Groats even, and he actually ran through Kendal a few weeks earlier, and this has been a massive inspiration to me. He was doing kind of 85 miles a day on average on tarmac, and I remember kind of, because again it was such a new thing for me. I'd not really done ultramarathons, not kind of multi-day ones. I didn't have a clue really, so I messaged Jan and he said, day 2 is always the worst. And it's strange, but the body does somehow acclimatise, and it gets used to the pain, and it just bears it. So day 3, the pains kind of went in my knees, then that disappeared. Then day 4, it was the tendons in my feet, so I could literally maybe walk a mile and run a mile, then walk a mile, run a mile, just because it kept it. It was like being kind of whacked in the shins. And I think then again that day, it was very hot as I was coming across the border by Gretna Green, and then it was the heat got me. I remember having a bit of kind of a bad wobble, and I got a bit panicky and spooked and feeling very faint, and I thought something I thought something bad was happening. And I think in ultra running it's very easy to get something wrong, whether you're dehydrated or you kind of run out of fuel, but that spooked me a bit. So I thought, okay, I'll just get over the border, then I'm in England, and then if I quit, at least I've got that far. But then I could see the fells and the lakes glowing in the glowing in the sunset, and I thought, quitting's not going to be so easy. Crossing the border was an amazing feeling on day 4. But then on it just kind of got worse, because the next day I had Storm Francis came to join me in Carlisle. So it was like wetter than an otter's pock. It was just absolutely grim, and also my ankles had swollen that much that I could not run more than 10 metres at a time. Every time I tried to jog, it was just, my shins were on fire. It was like being whacked with a hammer. So I thought, okay, well, I'll keep moving forwards. If I have to walk the entire thing now, then I will do. So I only managed 30 miles that day, and it was getting to the point of, this is ridiculous, I need to stop. Got some new road shoes. I think it was Pete Bland in Kendal. My mum kind of had kind of sensed that I was not in a good place, and went to get some more shoes just because my feet were that swollen and I needed a bigger size. I stopped early near Keswick, got a sports massage that night, and actually that was when everything changed, because he assured me that there was no reason to stop. They were swollen, as they would be after doing the sort of mileage, but there was no damage.
That was normal. Yeah.
I just needed to change a few things on the routine, and basically the next day I was running again. But then coming down the stairs in the hostel that morning, I managed to stumble a few steps and actually sprayed a peroneal tendon. So I was running again, but I had this niggling pain all day on Scafell Pike. I came down Scafell Pike, and I felt good, but watching this ankle like a minefield, and then it was raining, it was dark, I was behind schedule by a day, and I remember this lowest ebb. I was on the edge of tears, thinking it's all over. How on earth can I continue? But then out the darkness, one of the Mine of Mountains participants came out. She'd been there with some Kendal mint cake, waited in there for me a few hours just to give me a cheer and some encouragement. And then later on in Skelworth Bridge, there was a couple who just emerged out of the darkness just to hand me some money for and that just gave me the reason. Actually, this is why I'm doing this. I have a choice to be out here, putting myself through this, getting soaked, which I wouldn't expect anything less in the lakes. But that friendly support was amazing. And then obviously I contacted you. That was day 5. Then I was a bit desperate for more sports massages, so I contacted yourself, and you saved the day with Vix Farringdon, who came and met me in the car park in Joey's Cafe in Kendal. So I was having a massage with a pasty from Joey's, and again she told me that, okay, yeah, your feet are a bit wrecked, but there's no reason not to carry on. So I was relieved. You know, I wasn't looking for a get out. I just wanted to be able to carry on.
Yeah.
Amazingly, the body is a pretty resilient thing. So I carried on from there, and by that point, something else broke every single day. But I just knew it would disappear.
Yeah.
You've just got to get to the next morning, and then everything changes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing, isn't it? Yeah, like we were saying, you were halfway through coming past your home basically on that day.
Yeah.
You were just...
Well, that was the weird thing, because it was something to look forward to, but because I fell behind schedule, I couldn't stay in Ambleside Hostel because it was actually fully booked. So James, my friend, gave me a lift back to my flat in Kendal. But actually, that was really weird because it disrupted the whole the whole mindset and the routine. And I overslept, probably because I was in my own bed.
Yeah.
Which then put me into a completely wrong mindset. I got back to Ambleside because I was having to get lifts back to where I'd obviously stopped. And I was behind. I was thinking, how is this possible? But then people started to join me as I was in Kendal. And then I was coming into Kendal, and one of my sponsors, Thompson, Hazelwood, Winkley, were all there in a big crowd, and give me a cheer. And when you've got that, you can't just give up, because they've come out for you. You've got to get a bit further, and then the next thing you know, you've got there.
You've done it, yeah.
And then I had a big entourage of support runners who met me in Carnforth and ran with me all the way to Garstang, which is about 47 miles. At that point, I didn't have much choice. I was just
carried along on the wave.
Yeah, just keep on plodding. And luckily, my body, it allowed me to do that. I didn't really have any setbacks until the final day, when the lack of sleep caught up with me. I got into North Wales and I'd kind of fallen short of my planned hotel. So I remember getting dropped off at a friend's in Betsy Coed, who met me with a massive pizza about 11 o'clock. Then I asked him for a lift back at about 2:30 in the morning. So, on 3 hours sleep, I was still tasting pizza and going for another 42-mile run. So, the joys of ultra running, isn't it?
Yeah, God, yeah, and that sleep deprivation, and it's just amazing, isn't it? It is remarkable what you're capable of when you do it. And I've not done stuff to quite that extreme, but had a few weird experiences in the night doing distance running. That's for sure, in different places. I know that I could, as always, I could talk to you all day long. I really could, but I know I'm conscious you've got to get off of the Mind Over Mountains thing, and time's marching on. And so it's Mind Over Mountains was the charity. It? Well, it's your charity that you fundraised for, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. So it started as a community interest company, but this year, myself and my friend Chris, he's the co-founder as well. We set it up as a charity. We sent the application in, and in some ways, the ankle injury was a blessing in disguise, because we got we actually got the actual status as a charity just a week before I started, which was great, really. So it's now a charity, and obviously we're working in the lakes, but also all around the, all the national parks around England and Wales, really, and really excited by the support that we've had, and have just been blown away by the kindness, and I think it's going to be really important at the moment. It was quite amazing that this week I went to I actually picked up an envelope which had been dropped off in Kendal for me, and it just had £100 in it, just saying that, just the name, actually, Mind of the Mountains, and just said, well done, mate. And I have no idea who that was from, but
no way.
The support has been humbling, and I think at the moment, with all this bad news, we need some good stuff, and the running community and in the lakes and everything is fantastic. I didn't get any I didn't get the mint cake actually thrown at me in the end.
No.
You'll have to get me next time.
I will. I was devastated.
I was going slow enough as well.
I think it was. Yeah, I think I had the kids on the day when you came through in the end, and I was gutted that I couldn't. There was a couple of reasons why I couldn't get out and meet you, but I did. It was the virtual support was the best that I could do, and hopefully that helped as well.
It was a massive help, because my legs were very, they needed that just to be seen by somebody. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, cool. All right. Well, I've got Foo Fighters and Journey lined up, so I'll play those two for you. If that was there a story behind these two, or just
Everlong by Foo Fighters was playing in the car when we did the first drive up to Scotland, when I first did Ben Nevis about 10 years ago, when I must have been 14. And it always takes me back to that road trip and looking up, thinking, wow, these mountains are pretty good. And obviously to be then doing it on a run. was great. Running along Loch Lomond brings back a lot of memories.
Wow.
Although that day really broke me. And Don't Stop Believing, it's just, you can't not feel like you can take on the world with that. And it came on the radio when I finished my last challenge, Climber UK, 3 years ago, and it makes everybody feel good, you know. And after the challenge was complete and it started to sink in, it's just a great feeling, and really inspired what's next, I guess.
Awesome. Well, it's amazing to see you as always, mate.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for popping in for the first Singleton Sail Away singles.
I'm on it.
And so we'll stick Foo Fighters on anyway.